I'm sorry I can't come to today's workshop, but I just flew to the US. But I would still like to tell you a little bit about my project. In my project, I focused on online teaching and how online teaching can be used as a learning tool. Specifically, I was interested in whether online teaching could be used in a way such that students could be turned into active learners instead of passive listeners, which is what we typically observe in traditional lectures. We now all know that students can be activated using bus groups, peer teaching, clickers, and all with the hope of them achieving a better learning outcome. And in my personal experience, such activities are useful and fun for both teachers and also students. However, in-class student activities also have certain limitations. As a teacher, it may be hard to find time for student activities, and at the same time, students learn differently and they may require different amount of time in order to absorb these activities. These observations made me interested in online teaching, and for that reason I decided to conduct an experiment in my course Econometrics B, a second-year undergraduate course in the Econ program. Specifically, the experiment consisted of a 35-minute long online lecture on YouTube, during which the students had to answer 9 multiple-choice questions on the course website on Epsilon, and then in the end they were asked to evaluate the experiment and fill out a survey also on Epsilon. Here's a sample from the lecture. And once you start looking at those two equations, well, you realize that alpha I is the cause of all evil. So the endogeneity problem is driven by this unobserved individual specific effect according to the assumptions that we made up until now. So can we somehow get rid of AI? Absolutely. And the solution is basically just to subtract the first equation from the second. Or in other words, we compute first differences. So how did students use this more interactive classroom? Well, here are some facts. I have 250 students in Econometrics B, and the online lecture received 300 views on YouTube in the first month of the online experiment. Even within the first week, 141 students had answered all multiple choice questions on Epsilon. And perhaps more interestingly, YouTube analytics suggest that most students actually watch the whole video, that is, from start to end. The following figure shows a summary of how the students performed on the 9 multiple choice questions. Overall, the students did pretty well. But the peculiar observation is that they did much better on the more complex questions and much worse on what was supposed to be the simple questions. In the end, the students were asked to evaluate this online experiment. Here, 80% of the students indicated a clear want for more online teaching at the university. However, they also made it very clear that they don't want online teaching as a substitute for traditional lectures. But overall, they seemed very appreciative of the more interactive teaching format, combining an online lecture with these 9 multiple choice questions on Epsilon. What I have learned from this teaching experiment is that, first of all, videos are relatively easy to make. And while it is entirely possible to put entire lectures up on YouTube, it is my impression that it's better to use online teaching for shorter teasers or questions or reviews of a given topic. With that said, students have responded extremely positively to this particular teaching experiment, and it can only serve as an example to how we can improve our teaching at the University of Copenhagen. Thank you for your time, and thank you for a great program.